staying in Toronto was choosing to give up my dance career. People are judging you whether you're putting yourself out there or not. I'm learning to let myself be a villain in someone else's story. I had already told me no, and I didn't let anybody else tell me no. I wish that I'd been a little bit more gutsy.
Welcome back to Kicking It Real. Today I am sitting down with Laura June Ness, a Canadian dancer, aerialist, actress, and content creator who packed up her entire life and moved to London with no job lined up, no guarantee it would work out, and just the belief that it was possible. She is now in the cast of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child at the Palace Theatre on London's West End. We are getting into the full story: the leap, the audition, the rejection cycle, body image in Tokyo, outgrowing people who don't believe in you, and so much more. If you're new here, I am so glad that you found the show. Make sure you hit follow so you don't miss a single episode, and if this one resonates, don't forget to send it to one person who needs to hear it. It's genuinely how we keep this show amazing and growing. Now, let's get into it. You guys, welcome back to Kicking It Real. I am here with Laura. She went from dancing competitions in Canada to London's West End, and she's currently in Harry Potter and the Cursed Child at the Palace Theatre, has been on Disney Cruise Line and Tokyo Disney as a featured aerialist, performed on Amazon Prime, Norwegian Cruise Line, the Canadian Opera Company. She got a long list, you guys, and has built an amazing multi-hyphenate career as a dancer, aerialist, actress, and content creator. So welcome, Laura, to Kicking It Real.
Thank you. That's such a beautiful introduction.
This was a mouthful in the best way. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to trip over my own words, but we're going to warm it up. What have you been kicking it with lately?
I've been kicking it with, really just like dancing for the love of it right now, which has been so lovely. I think I go through different seasons of things. And obviously with dance, that relationship changes too. And I think I'm really in a phase right now where I'm just really doing it for joy, which feels so nice. So that's what I'm kicking with.
As knowing what it's like as a professional, I very much appreciate that answer because it can put you through the trenches a little bit.
Totally. Yeah, it really can. And it's like, you always love it, but it's like I think really anything you're spending so much time with, and that includes human relationships as well. Like they go through different ebbs and flows. And right now we're just in a very joyful phase, which feels great.
Love it. What are you kicking to the curb?
What am I kicking to the curb? I think just in general, in this very moment, I would say just really leaning into my own voice and kicking to the curb outside influences, because I think, especially as when you're putting yourself out there online, you get so much noise and so many voices, and it's really just learning to tune in with what feels authentic to you and what feels honest, and just that's what people's perspectives and other people's misunderstandings.
I highly relate to that too, especially when people have a lot to say. And I think as dancers, it's that people pleaser in us that we're trained because we want people to hire us, and you have to be liked and easy to work with. And then it's a weird transition into the online space, even when I know you're coming from a good place, I'm coming from a good place, and most people probably are who are putting themselves out there. But it's so interesting to navigate that. So I do relate on that, which we can get into that later. But I wanted to just start, for people who don't know you, if you could give us a brief overview of your journey growing up in Canada and your dance journey, and if you felt like it set you up for success in any ways in your career now.
Yeah, totally. So I knew I wanted to dance from a very early age. I don't really remember the exact spark, but I definitely was, taken to the Nutcracker as a kid, and I had all the books about ballerinas, and I thought, that looks like me. That's what I'm gonna do. So my mom found a great studio and put me in at a young age, and by the age of 6, I started kind of getting into the competition world, and I just really loved it so much. I loved the themed dances and being a part of a whole production. It was just so exciting for me. And I really kind of stuck with that route. And I was with the same studio. I went to Canadian Dance Company, was there from the age of 6 to 17. And it was great. I think, I definitely got exposed to a lot of different styles with, you did the jazz, tap, ballet, hip hop, kind of a bit of everything. And it was a studio that took it very seriously, which I loved. So in that way, I got a lot of great training. But yeah, I think when I was about, I want to say 13 or 14 is when I kind of started opening myself up to the world of conventions. And I feel like it was still relatively new. I think at that
Mm-hmm.
time, like, I feel like since I've left that competition industry, they've just completely blown up and
Yeah.
yeah, really taken over. Yeah, first I kind of grew up on the cusp of starting to be a thing, but it wasn't
Yeah.
um
I love that you say that because I feel like now I don't want to say overwhelmed, but I see the culture that it is now and I'm like, did I miss something growing up or did it just change like crazy?
no, it definitely changed. I think I was in it when it was like starting to blossom and I could kind of feel that coming on, but it's still going strong. At least to me. I'm not in that world anymore, but from what I kind of see on the outskirts of
Mm-hmm.
things.
Which I
Uh,
do love what you said too about competitions and how you love the theatrical production part of it, which is another thing kind of
yeah.
tying it into the convention thing. I see so much now for like younger dancers getting so caught up in competitions where it's like that's what it was about for me too, of getting to
Yeah.
perform and getting to
Yes.
practice that and explore different things. Was that how your experience was? Because for me, like we didn't even really know what the judging was. We briefly like listened to some of the feedback. It just wasn't so important to the studio I was at.
I mean, honestly, no. Like, I wish that it would had been that. I think I really took it seriously, and
Okay.
I, it did kind of warp my perspective a little bit. Um, and I liked competing, and it's not that I didn't take it seriously. I very much did, but I'm just by nature, I don't thrive on competition. Like, I think some
Mm,
people when it like spurs them. In some ways it did. Like of course when you see someone doing amazing, like it can inspire me to do that as well or want to do that. But I just don't feel motivated typically. I
I'm
don't
this.
know.
I'm the
Yeah, but
same.
yeah.
I don't know
So
why, but I always joke, and that's actually not a joke, but growing up, I never thrived in like actual sports, like what baseballs, softball. I didn't play baseball. I played softball, but like softball, volleyball, because the competition of it stressed me out versus dance. Like I knew I could rehearse, I could do my part, I knew I could show up and not like let my team down. But it just,
yeah.
I don't know that competition in me. I was like, I don't want that pressure of having to win. I don't know.
No, I know. I think it's so dependent on someone's like I think nature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like even some people as little kids, like when they're playing a board game can get so intense. And I
Yes.
was like, I don't relate to this at all. It's just a game.
Yep.
But yeah, so I think in that way, in some, in certain times or, in certain chapters, depending on how old I was or where I was at mentally at the time, it would, like other people's perspectives of it would almost affect me more because
Mm,
if some was very competitive, it would make me almost feel like I had to be or like kind of encourage that kind of nature. And I never liked that. Um, but again, like I just genuinely loved the performing and the storytelling
yeah.
part of it.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
just a good takeaway for people too, that you can still to this day, I'm sure you could still exist in a way that you can still go to competitions. And even if you like to compete, enjoy that part, but then take away some of the things that you were able to take away from
Yeah.
competing, which wasn't like so cutthroat, which is lovely.
Yeah.
After competitions, you moved on and you went to university
Yeah.
for dance. I laugh because I love different cultures and calling it different things.
Yes.
Um, but that's such a big topic I hear people talk about now, whether to go to dance for college or go to college, university for dance, or to just go straight into auditioning. I also went and got a degree in dance, but what made you decide to go that route?
I think it was a lot of different things. I had my grandmother specifically was very very persistent of me getting a degree. And my mom was as well. I think my parents were very supportive of me doing the dance route and like following that passion, but I think they were raised in a time where getting a degree equaled success. And
Mm-hmm.
so very mindful. They were like, you can do anything you want after you go to college, do whatever you want. Um, so yeah, and I think I really had this idea in my head that, um, dance wasn't something you could do long term. And so to me, I was like, okay, well, I have to plan financially or like career path wise
Mm-hmm.
to go down a different path. And I had always looked in teachers college. That had been something that I had thought that I was going to go into. And so I had done a lot of research. And at the time, and I think it's still the same in Canada at least, like you just need a 4-year degree. It can be in anything. And then after that, you apply to teachers college, depending on what age you want to teach. So I could have been,
Okay.
yeah. So I was planning to do my 4-year dance degree. I even at a certain point was in the midst of getting a minor in history so that I could be like a drama and a history teacher. And then I was going to go to teachers college.
Is teachers college to teach? Okay, this is so silly of me, but is it to teach at a college or is it just to teach anywhere in Canada?
To teach anywhere. And I think the
Ah.
education is so different. I know in the States, it's different states, like
Mm-hmm.
state to state. It's even different in Canada, the different requirements depending on which province you're in. But essentially, you need like a separate degree, which takes 2 years after you get a 4-year degree.
Interesting. Wow. I'm sure you guys have
Yes.
lovely schools because that's a lot of
Uh,
schooling, which
yeah,
you're like, well, I don't
there's
know.
teachers, it's always that thing. Teachers still don't get paid enough for all that they do, but it is like you do have to be committed, and it is, it's an extra certificate, like
Yeah,
to
no,
do.
yeah, no, teachers will never be paid enough in my eyes because I could
Yeah,
actually never.
yeah,
Okay, which we love though. We love supportive parents and going to college. And also, like, not that there is a wrong path, but for me too, I don't know about you, like if I went straight into auditioning into like real world things when I was 18, wouldn't have been good. It like I really needed some time to like solidify myself as a human. I mean, I still don't feel solidified to this day, but
right.
especially that period of time, it's just such a crucial
Yeah,
time of our life.
I I'm I think for me, I was really grateful because I think the training that I did get in the university program I was in was good for me.
Hmm.
Um, my perspective and give me insight into like different styles, like more of the modern contemporary route, which I had never done, was very new for me at least.
Oh,
Yeah. And then, but I don't know. I'm like, sometimes I wonder, like, I think I probably could have maybe booked work, but I think I just wasn't mature enough to like really own
I
myself as an artist.
yeah, I was gonna say even just like the skills and talent and ability matching up to the not that you weren't professional, I'm sure you were very much were, but
Right.
just just that
Yeah,
even that like knowing how to carry yourself with confidence
exactly.
and
Yeah.
interacting in that way is just I think college is really good for that part as well. So when you were in college, was it you said it modern contemporary, did it have a specific focus? Did you do any like singing acting while you were in college or no?
Um, we like, yes, but not really. Like
Dabbled.
yeah, like they give you like an acting course a semester, but if I'm so real, like I wouldn't say it helped prepare me for a musical theater, the musical theater, world or theater in general. It was kind of like, oh, we're just gonna give this to the dancers so that they're just like a little bit well rounded. But I didn't leave there with like a monologue that I felt good enough going into auditions with. Like, yeah, just pick any monologue and we'll just do it and we'll just have fun together. And I was like, this is great, but it's not. I wish they had been like, this semester, we're focusing on like a comedic monologue. This is where you're gonna find these. And I don't know, it was just a little bit loosey goosey to actually be
Yeah.
helpful.
You're like,
If
give
that
me
makes
some
sense.
tools. No, like I
Yeah.
want practical tools. Like I'm not here for fun, for funsies.
Yeah.
But I guess at
It
least we were
was almost like
introduced.
sorry?
Yeah. I was at least you were introduced, I guess, to
Yeah,
in some
exactly.
capacity. Before you went into
Mhm.
professional life auditions, what was your like main goal? Did you have this is what I want to do, whether it was a show or just like a type of performing gig?
Um, honestly, like I really just wanted to like ships was the first thing that I wanted to do. Like I was so gung ho about traveling. I think, especially in Toronto, there's just like there wasn't the kind of work there that I wanted to be doing, which was like true dance heavy work.
Hmm.
And I kind of saw that path on ships, and I was like young, and I really thought I was just gonna do ships forever. And I was very grateful I was able to like kind of go down that route. But after my first contract, I was like, I love the job, but living on a ship is not for me. It's not.
Yeah, which is I have heard that too, where people who have done ships say it's great to do right after college because of that traveling experience. And
Yes.
by the time I was like kind of interested, it was the same thing where I was like, ooh, but do I really want to be gone for that long and like be on a ship? And I don't know, that mentality switches like very fast. I feel like you either are a
Yeah.
certain type of person or there's like a small window that you could like do that. You did Disney and Norwegian, correct? Cruises?
Yes. I didn't. Yeah. But they were quite spaced out. So I did Norwegian was what I did out of school. It was the first
Hmm.
ship contract that I did. And then because I just didn't enjoy life at sea, I didn't go back. And it wasn't until it was like 7 years until I did Disney Cruise Line, which was like post pandemic.
Okay. What made you decide you could do it again?
I think, uh, I think it being post pandemic, it was 2022. There hadn't been a lot of work, um, in Toronto, and I feel like I was just kind of starting to open myself up to like a long term career path through this again. Um, I had also worked in Tokyo Disney in between, and I
Okay.
had been in Tokyo Disney for like 3 years, and I just fell in love with Disney company and how, I mean, they just prioritize entertainment because it's the heart and soul of
Yeah.
what it is. And so speaking to friends that had done Disney Cruise Line versus other ships, it's just it's a
Different
very
feel.
different.
I'm just gonna say I feel like my research is doing me dirty this episode because my timeline in my head that I have of your life is
No,
completely
I
not correct.
no, maybe I feel like I haven't like talked about it so clearly like ever.
No, I'm like digging. I'm like, okay, so my timeline's back. We're back. Hello, Gabby. Okay, so you did
Yeah.
Tokyo. I feel when so you did Norwegian and did you do Tokyo right after that? Or
Essentially there was some like
next?
queen,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah.
not like immediately. Okay.
It-
Do you
yeah,
feel
yeah.
like this is a silly question maybe, but being
Yeah.
in Canada from Canada gave you like a little bit of bravery to move to Tokyo? Because I don't know, for me, even like moving from Chicago to New York, I was like, that's a big change, Gabby. Okay, like let's do it.
Yeah.
But that is a huge, huge move. And I know just the different opportunities in the States or maybe abroad are different from Canada, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that plays a huge part into it. And like I said, like the kind of work that I wanted to be doing just did not exist. And if I'm honest, I still don't think it exists in Toronto. Like there's no, I can't think of like a show that hires just dancers. Um, like there's musical theater, sure, but even then it's quite a limited scope, more
Yeah.
limited. Doesn't even compare at all. Um, yeah, so for me, I with the skill set that I have and what
Yeah.
the kind that I wanted to be doing, I was always looking kind of outside of Canada. And I do think like from a young age, I just have like this really I uh big curiosity. I have a really
Hmm.
large sense of other cultures, so I was really excited to kind of dive in
To go, oh my
somewhere that
gosh. 3 years. That is so fun to be over there for that long. What was the biggest culture shift, both just like regular life and in dance being over there?
um well, it's a very different culture. I make the joke usually that like it was actually harder to move back after living there than it was harder to move there
Wait,
because
explain.
it's the people it's so clean. It's so organized. People are so respectful. Like like I kind of
Wow.
I lose things, like, I was never stressed. Like, if you forget anything, it's coming back to you. Someone's giving it to you. Like, it was just a beautiful, like, time of my life. It just people are just so lovely.
Wow.
You know, I was there, like, looking dazed and confused. People if you ask for help, someone will walk you to where you need to go. Like, it's just wildly different that way. So,
Wow, that's lovely.
that was really yeah, exactly. I also think working for Disney specifically, I was surrounded by people from the Western world, and we kind of had our own little, like, safety bubble as well, so I kind of had the comfort of home
Mm,
with the, like, perks of the organized, like, respectful Japanese,
yeah,
culture.
that's
So I
so nice.
yeah, I might have a different experience if I was the only, Western person really trying to in integrate into that culture, but I
Yeah.
think it's of my own culture that was around me at the time, so it felt very, like, safe and comforting.
Yeah, it's that community that we is important for everything, having that sense of community and being
Yes.
able to, like, have that little safety net. I love that. Wow, I actually don't know why I would never have guessed that. I would love to go to Asia one day. It's on my list, but,
Yeah.
one country at a time for me.
I think in terms of, like you had asked about, like, the dance culture,
Yes.
and the one thing there is, like, body image in Japan is a whole other level, and that was the hardest. That was, like, the negative thing that came with it, because it's Asia, and I think just the body standard and the body ideal there is different from the Western world.
And we
Yeah,
have a hard enough time here, so I can't
literally,
even
and
imagine.
yes, as dancers as well, I think with just, like, the pressure, to fit a certain body type, whatever that is, and I think, obviously body types come in and out of style, which is awful as it is, but the culture in Japan had a very hard pill to swallow, when it comes to, like, yeah, their idea of body image.
There What ways did you feel that come out? Was it when you were working on the ship or just from pure, like, observation of things going on?
I think, um, like, I felt it in little sprinkles of, like, at work, and it's one of those things where it's their culture and they won't mean anything by it. They like, to them, it's not rude or it's not, a touchy subject versus, like, we're a little bit more careful over here how we express things, um, where it's, like, someone being like I remember I went in for a costume fitting after 6 months of working, and I just had to, like, they were updating the costumes, like, they were giving everybody fresh costumes, so I went in and they were fitting me, and they were like, "Oh, you've lost weight, you look better." And I was like, yeah, just, like, things like that. I was
Not
like,
"You look better."
yeah, to them, like, that's genuinely, like, culturally, like, that's just normal, and for me, it was, like, such a
W
oh,
Well, whereas here, like, people wouldn't even probably outwardly say you lost weight."
of
Like, you
course,
you wouldn't even say that.
of course, but it's easy for, like obviously, I agree with that culture because that is where I come from, but it's learning to, like, be in a different space and just being like, "I don't have to absorb this." Like, this is their world, and I can just know that, like, it's fine.
What a great this is, making a positive out of a negative, but, like, what a great way to get thick skin without it maybe being as hurtful because, there's
Yeah,
not ill intention, I
well,
guess.
exactly. It's yeah, just so ingrained, and you see other bits of that as well, like, I'm sure there were other things that I did that were offensive in their culture, and they're like, "She's not from here, she doesn't know." Like, even things like talking on a when you're on the train, like, in Japan, you're not supposed to talk on the train,
Not even, like,
and
to someone next to you?
no,
Oh,
quiet. So
silence.
it's like things like that. Someone could think that I'm very rude just because that I'm interacting as if I'm part of my culture in theirs, and it's just like
Mm,
you really just learn to have respect for it. Just like there's not one way to do things, and that's that
yeah.
person's reality, not to participate in that. I mean, obviously, when it
Y
comes to talking on the train, I'm gonna be quiet out of respect because once you learn, and
Well,
that's
yeah,
like,
especially as a performer, you're probably like, "Wait a minute, why am I the only
yeah,
one talking?" Like, the
yeah,
context clues.
you pick it
So
up.
they should
But
never take the subway in New York City. Okay, noted.
it's
All the people
true.
from they
That would be a culture
would
shock for sure.
they would hate that, which honestly I wouldn't blame them for that. But
Yeah.
okay, I love that. When you fast forward, you did Disney, we went through COVID. When you decided to move to London, did you
Mhm.
have anything lined up or did you just go on a whim? What was that process like?
Um, yeah, I definitely didn't have anything lined up. Um, it was kind of something I had had on the back of my mind for a long time because I had known that it was really easy as a Canadian to make that
Mm,
move. And I did know that obviously compared to Toronto, the opportunities in London are like tenfold. It's just crazy, um, in comparison. But at the time, like for so many years, I was like, know anybody there? It's such an expensive city. I'm going to drain through all my savings doing this. Like, I didn't really have a reason to do it. And I think just something mentally kind of shifted slowly as I got older. Um, and after I had kind of checked the boxes of, okay, I've like traveled and I've done the types of contracts that I wanted to do, but I don't want to do them forever. Like, I still want to perform, but the type of work that I want to be doing isn't in Toronto.
yeah.
It's kind of, I would either, for me, with the type of career I would want to have, like, it felt like staying in Toronto was choosing to give up my dance career,
Yeah.
which
I mean,
I don't know if
I
there's,
understand. Yeah.
yeah.
More like
Again,
validating you than anything. Yeah.
yeah. Like, I do know people there that are working, but there's no long-term contracts the
Yeah.
same way. Like, um, and that's really what I enjoy doing. And yeah,
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing I feel the same way when I, decided to move to Houston from New York. I was like, okay, like that's going to be it for my performing career. I mean,
yeah,
never say never to random things, but like I had to know that that was out of my transitional time and there is theater and things here, but it's just like you said, it's not the same and it's hard to go
exactly.
from a level or a prestige or a certain expectation to and it's not going backwards, but it's just different, it's when
Yeah.
it's like going from like college back to high school a little bit. You're like, well,
Yeah.
I already did this, not in a bad way.
Yeah.
We're both like, look at us both trying to not offend anyone, and we're not. Like, I'm
No,
like, I'm not offended. You're not offended.
exactly. And I think the people that have careers back in Toronto, they are successful, but it's just not the type of work I want to do. And it's the type of
Totally.
work that's great and you can thrive there. It's not to say that you can't, but like I said, yeah, I just wanted
No,
something.
I only asked that because I think it's so cool that you took that leap, and I think that's a really cool realization to have of like, wait a minute, like this is kind of what I want to do, but I don't have a reason. And like, I need to just like take that
Yeah.
gut leap. And also why I should be less surprised that it's easier for you to move to London than it probably is the US, isn't it?
Oh my God. So it's absolutely crazy.
And
It's
you could
so
literally
much.
just drive here, but that's fine. Another,
I know,
not, not the
literally. I have
topic of
so
this podcast,
no
but yeah.
process, and some have been successful, and others it's so expensive, and then they don't end up getting it, and like the visa to work here, and oh gosh, yeah, tough.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, it's harder to just like move to the US just to audition versus moving to London without a job lined up to audition there.
Yeah, like essentially from my research and kind of speaking to people, you need a lawyer involved when it comes to getting your visa for the US. And that can cost anywhere from like ten to $17,000. Um, yeah, and then exactly. And then even if you get that, it can take like you obviously need so many letters and you have to do all that grunt work. And after you put all that information through, even if it gets approved, I would only be allowed to work as a performer or in the arts. Like I could not do a
Yeah, that
thing at all. And that is especially when if you don't have a job lined up, it's kind of like that's
no.
just not
And I now that you say this, I actually know of Rockettes, like Canadian Rockettes, who literally booked the job and then it was like they couldn't get it done in time, and then couldn't even take it until the next year because of literal just fees and hoops to have to jump through. So we love London. Honestly, to me, I think London's cooler than New York. I've never been, but I want to go. Anyways, when you moved to London, what was that like trying to immerse in just culture and meeting people, and then also auditioning? Talk to us about that a little bit.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was definitely a process. I think you learn so much, like as much as I tried to do the research, you really just learn by kind of, being in the country and figuring it out. I think accidentally I was kind of trying to live by the rules of like Canada, North America in London, and it's just a different way of working. It's a different landscape. So that was just kind of something I had to figure out slowly. But
do you feel like they adopt the like Europe of what is it, where they work to live, not live to work?
Like a little bit. Like it's doesn't feel quite as hustle culture as New York, but it's certainly a lot more hustle culture than like other European cities. I feel like it's kind of middle.
Which we love.
Yeah, which was kind of nice, but I think just even the way of navigating how performers go about supporting themselves. Like, I think so many performers, especially in the early days of their career, I certainly was in this boat. Like, so many performers work in hospitality because it's a very industry, and it's kind of that running joke where it's like, you go to New York or LA and you're working in going to a restaurant and you assume everybody there is an actor.
Yeah. Yep.
Versus that's not the case at all in London. Like, yeah, at least the restaurant that I was in, I was the only performer, and I kind of realized, like, wait, what is everybody else doing? How are they? What?
You're like, wait, where are my people?
Yeah, it's just very strange, and kind of like, oh, like they do different kinds of work. There's a lot of temp work. There's a lot of agency work where people can just pick up and go. And I was like, I would never think to look for those opportunities because that's just not how our industry functions.
No.
Figuring that out too. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's kind of a nice shift, maybe. Is the pay comparable, or maybe the hours are better?
I think it depends. Like, I have a lot of friends that, like, are with agencies where they almost, like, do events and kind of are, being a part of, like, a hostess or PR team and doing things, and they can just pick up work very easily, and it's quite flexible. There are nannying agencies here. There are hospitality agencies that you can just go and work a one-off shift for, like, events, which I think exists in New York and different places, but it's not as common in Toronto, so. It's just a different world.
Yeah, that's a lot to navigate. How are the auditions? I know I've seen some of your stories and things on it being very different, even auditioning and equity and all of that. What is the main differences between New York and maybe just the US, but New York, London?
Yeah, so I have a little bit of experience auditioning in New York because there was a time in my life where I was going there like once a month, but obviously what I could audition for was very limited as a Canadian. But this is kind of what I've gained from like friends and from my experience long ago, and of course, but in New York, Broadway shows like are required to hold auditions every 6 months, whether they are hiring people, and it's, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they just hire kind of chunks of people at a time. Like in London, each West End show is doing one casting per year, and they know exactly the roles that they're looking for, and they're always hiring for certain roles. Like, obviously there's going to be some people that extend their contracts, but if they're holding an audition, they need people, and the whole cast rehearses together. Versus on Broadway,
like the put-ins.
Yes, it's constant put-ins all the time, which I'm like, that's so interesting.
Well, I have a little bit of a combo because I haven't done any Broadway, but Rock Hits is like how you are, where it's you all rehearse together, you all know the same show, you do it, and then people return, but you
Yeah.
sit in a new spot. It's a new thing the next year. And
Yes.
also,
Exactly.
I mean, as far as I know, there's also always a spot, because how disappointing to stand outside for 4 hours and then you're and maybe get seen, and then actually, just kidding, we don't need
Yeah.
anyone.
Yeah, exactly. So there's,
Well,
here comforting to know, like, if there's an audition, they definitely need some people, but of course you never know if the role that you'd be well suited for is available or not. You always kind of take that risk. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's really also tough to get into auditions here. It's very agency
okay.
based. So
Mm,
versus, I know there are just like open equity calls for so many shows in New York, and of course, I'm sure having an agent is very helpful. Like, to my understanding, if you don't have one, it doesn't necessarily mean you can't be seen, especially as an equity member, versus that is not the case here. It's like, I know people with West End credits that might not get into another West End show if their agency doesn't have the right connections. Like, it's so closed off. And yeah, it's literally,
oh my gosh. How did you go about finding the right agency or being signed to an agency in London if someone wanted to do that?
yeah. And honestly, it's so tough when people ask me, like, I'm still learning. Like, in Toronto, we have maybe three, like, kind of top tier agencies that really cater to dancers.
Hmm.
Um, so most of the people I know are signed with those three. In London, there's so many different agencies, all have slightly, different connections, or all have success, um, depending on what avenue you want to be going down.
Yeah.
And it's really tough to know, like, what's going to work for you. Like, I always tell people, just like, look at like, your dream shows, look at the people that are signed with those dream shows, and then go with those agencies or apply to those agencies and just
Yeah.
see what you can get, because at least you know then that, like, that agency has some kind of connection with
Yeah,
where you
for
want to be going.
sure. Is it
Um,
easier to hop around if you wanted to be like, okay, I actually want to do this show now, or and my agency doesn't support that, or do you feel a little locked in? I guess you wouldn't know for sure long term, but
yeah, I don't know if I know for sure, but I think, like, maybe it depends on, like, production companies.
hmm.
Like, one producer has like four shows, like, it's probably easier to get into those specific shows because the company knows you. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, I
Listen.
think it depends. We'll see.
So
That just, yeah.
yeah,
So
one day you're still kicking it
yeah,
with Harry Potter, which
yeah.
I saw in New York. The show for Valentine's Day, my first Valentine's Day with my now husband. I was I'm obsessed with that show. I mean, I love Harry Potter in general, but
Sure.
is it as long? It's the same show as New York?
It's longer right now, the
Oh,
show that I'm doing.
because I think it was
Yeah.
like 3.5 hours when I went. And
This is a full 5 hour.
okay, and this is gonna sound terrible. I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, but it was like a Tuesday night. It was Valentine's Day, and I love Harry Potter, but sometimes different shows, like, I will get sleepy, especially during the week. And as a performer, just depending if it's like a dance, like high production, like, I'm not falling asleep, but like sometimes, and I was nervous. I was like, oh no, like, it's a Tuesday, like, I'm pretty tired. I was sat. Like, I was sat. My husband and I were like, this is probably one of the best shows I've ever seen, which I know you didn't create the show, but just anyways, fangirling over that. What was that audition like? You don't have to get into it too much, but also I did want to kind of piggyback off that. When because you've gone to so many different auditions, what was that audition like? And when you booked other things, do you feel like you kind of had a feeling after the calls, after you auditioned, that something was different? Or do you have just a certain ritual you do for all auditions and you're like, I did fine, we'll see what happens?
I guess to start off, I auditioned. It was around this time last year, actually. And my first audition was the whole experience was very unconventional. I had an interview first it was like a 10-minute interview with the resident director and some of the casting team. And they were just asking me about my aerialist experience, because the role that I was auditioning for and I'm now
Mm-hmm.
doing an aerialist role and wing role. And so they needed to know about my background and what apparatuses I was trained in and how long I performed in them. And, so I talked about that experience a lot. And of course, just kind of getting to know each other. I think, like, I feel like I've said this before and it rings so true. Like as dancers, you 99% of the time you have a number, attached to your
Mm-hmm.
body with a smile on your face, or sometimes not a smile, depending on the vibe of the audition
Yeah.
that you're. And they're really hiring you from how you move, and yes, your vibe, your energy, of course, but oftentimes you're still in some type of character when you're
Mm-hmm.
performing. Like actually have a chance to be a real human being and just like actually have a back and forth conversation with a casting team that might not be like, hi, I'm Laura and I'm 5'3". Like,
Yeah, like not that like slate. Like, oh,
yeah,
I'm actually a person behind this.
yes. And again, I think you can still tell a lot about someone even by those like 2 seconds of a slate, but it's nicer to like actually
Yeah.
feel like there's some type of communication. So that was really nice. Um, and then we had like a movement call, which was like people going in for my same role, but with people going in for very different roles. We did like a group warm up together at an audition. And then it was like,
Okay.
I know, like fully, like, let's all do this together. Like, it was very just like supportive, lovely environment. I was like, is this a class or an audition? But like,
You're like, I'm gonna get punked. Where's the cameras?
I know. I was like, this is so fun. Absolutely. Um, yeah, and then we did like a kind of a strength circuit to like test our stamina. And then it was just teaching us little bits and bobs from the show just to kind of tap into that creative it. If you've seen the show, we did like the wand dance
Uh-huh.
that they do. And then there's like this like dark V world dance that we did as well, which was kind of fun. It's just
That's
very different intentions, short little stints.
yeah. That's so nice. Do you think it was because they have such a process to like you have to have an agent and there's not as many people auditioning that maybe that's why they have time to interview people like that? And also, I don't
Yeah,
know if you were saying too that just the environment was so different in the sense of like they just have time and they want to get to know people better. I don't know if it's different than your experiences non-London.
yeah, it's interesting. I'm not sure. Like, I think talking to people that weren't auditioning for my role in the cast, I don't think they had interviews. And I think that's just because as an aerialist, like it's really hard to like you can see it on a piece of paper, but you don't really have an understanding of
Yeah.
what that um and so I think they just wanted to know about the details of our experiences. Like I had said like, "Oh, I did an aerialist contract in Japan where I was performing this show 3 times a day, 5 days a week for a year and a half." Like, they're like, "Oh, that's
They're
a
like, you're on
quantified."
it.
Exactly, because then you can show, like, it's not just someone that's, like, done 1 day of, a gig as an aerialist. And first of all, like, obviously work is amazing, but I think there's a difference in, okay, like, I'm not very comfortable with heights, like, this person.
Yes.
Like, you can kind of quantify those things when you're getting to know someone about their experience on a deeper level.
Yeah, for sure. Not just like I've taken a couple classes and did like a pop-up
Yeah,
performance one time. How did you get
right.
into aerial?
Jobs, really, cruise lines.
That's
Yeah, when
awesome.
I first did, yeah, and they train you, like, people from, ironically, even though we were rehearsing in Florida, people from the Toronto Circus School fly down to Florida and teach us skills. Yeah, so it's very
That
full
is so
circle.
ironic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, aerial is so hard. I had one of my friends from college who was an aerialist. She did some cruise lines, but she also there's there. I don't know if it's still a company, but there was one, if not still, in Chicago. And right out of college, a few of us went to this audition, and I was like in the back making a fool of myself because I was like, "What is going on?" It is so difficult, and I don't know the proper terms, but we were just in like silks. Like, and I think that's pretty beginner as well. So I had so much props. It's really,
It's
I don't,
well, it also depends on the apparatus, but I would agree, like, I mean, silks for me is not my forte. I
mm,
there it requires, like, so much, like, upper body work, and
yes.
I think there's something about it too where it's like if you do the wrong rap, the idea that that
The
that
mental, you're
like
like, bye.
yeah,
And then just slip and fall.
exactly, versus, like, the stuff that I've done, like, have always had, like, a hand loop or something like with Spanish web, or if I'm doing harness, like you can't fall out of a harness. So then
Yeah.
like that takes the at least the huge risk out of it. There's always risk of injury, but once I know that I'm not going to fall to my death for
Like
lack
I
of a
can
better
be
knock
like
on
I could
wood.
be free
Um
now.
yes, then I'm not then I feel like an artist and I get to, just have fun with it.
I love that. Going back to the audition, so you did that. Was
Yeah.
that it? Was it another round, or what happens after that?
Yeah, so then I got a call back for the following week where we went to the theater and they just, had us up flying and were just kind of testing us of, you know, are you comfortable with heights? They gave us like a few beginner kind of skills which weren't hard, but it was like, can you take direction? Or at least that was the vibe that I was getting how they were leading the audition. It was really just very basic. Um but yeah, and that was it. And it was just those 2 rounds. And then, yeah, I
They
had to
said we
wait.
want you. They said we want you. Come.
I loved that bit. Yeah, that was lovely. But yeah, I think they took me a little bit of time to get the job. So there was a time where I was like, I didn't get it. I didn't get it. But
Oh, it was a big gap.
well, bigger than I thought it was going to be. Like looking back, it's a reasonable amount of time. But I think it's just one of those things like when
It
you get a
feels long.
Yes. When you get a call back the next week after your audition, you assume that you're going to hear the next week or something after. But I think I had to wait like 3 weeks or something like that. And after a week, I was like,
You're like,
didn't
it's
get it.
done.
Like I was just being a drama queen, I think.
Yeah,
But
the
um,
drama in you.
yes, exactly. I mean, like, I'm in theater. What do people expect? Um, but yeah, I think when I left, like, I felt very much aligned with the job. Like, again, with like my skill set and my career and what I've done, I felt like this show was so right for me. And I had friends that had done it and I really felt a calling to it. But that being said, there are other shows that I felt that way and it hasn't worked out. So it is just kind of one of those things. Even when you get that gut instinct of like, this
Hmm.
is my show, sometimes you never really know. You always kind of have to, yeah, take everything with a,
Yeah, things are out of our control, unfortunately, in that
yeah.
way. Which, when you moved, you obviously didn't know it was all going to work out. I mean, you knew, but you didn't have it on paper. Did you
Yeah.
feel like
No.
you're like, not at all? Did you
No.
have a circle of people in your life that were like, yeah, go do it? Or did you feel like you had maybe people projecting some of their limiting beliefs onto you? What was that part of that journey like?
Yeah, I would say about 90% of my circle was so supportive, which I'm very grateful for, and I think is so telling of just the quality of friendships and love I have in my life. I felt really, really grateful. I think maybe and that like 10% that wasn't, if I'm honest, like those people aren't in my life anymore. And yeah, and it's like I look back and I'm like, I'm not even upset or angry, but it's like at the end of the day, like when really going for something, like you cannot have that energy in your circle. Like
No.
it just doesn't work. Even if it's like their own insecurities, it's like you
I
can't.
am such a big believer in that, and just like the who you surround yourself with is who you become. And it's hard. I mean, it gets easier the older you get. It's hard when you're younger too. And especially like we were talking about
Yeah.
earlier, just the industry is very connection based. So you're just like, oh, I don't want to
Yes.
step on any toes. But, there's ways you can kind of do that. Have you felt yourself not only then at all having to deal with stepping back from relationships to protect your peace? And how do you suggest someone going about that if they had to do that?
Oh, yeah, it's so tough, but inevitably, yes, I have. And I think it depends on the relationship. Like, I think, if there's a lot of history there and it's someone you really care about, it's like just being as honest and kind as you can is always a gracious thing to do. But sometimes I think you don't really, like, I think you can just kind of step back and it usually will kind of be a mutual understanding as well.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah,
and I
just to
don't
get,
think, yeah, have to make a big thing of it if it's inevitable. Like, just let the relationship part ways as it's meant
yeah.
to.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like when that happens, you have trouble, or do you have tips on not making it feel like it's your fault? I know I've had to get over that as well. Like, and again, the older you get, it's a little bit easier, but what are your ways of being like, okay, like this isn't a reflection of me. This is just me setting a boundary for myself.
Totally. I think, like, I don't know. I feel like I just have the perspective, like, at this point in my life, like, I'm learning to let myself be a villain in someone else's story because like, their reality, like, it's very different to how I remember the version of the story. And it's not like I can try to communicate until I'm blue in the face, but if they're not in a place where they're able to hear me, then I'm just allowing, like, I can't let their perspective of me be my reality, you
Yeah.
know?
I have goosebumps. That was really good. I've never heard that one before.
Yeah. It's
That's you're like, listen, I'm playing my part. I'll be the villain.
I,
Fine.
literally, it's still hard, and especially it obviously depends on the relationship. I think some it cuts deeper than others. Um,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, I'm
Just
like to people I don't know very well. I'm like, it's okay. I'll be your villain. Like, I'm sorry, but
I'll be your villain. Someone put that on a
I'm sorry.
t-shirt. That's so good.
And
Which,
again, like, I know because I know that I'm not doing anything intentionally, or But again, people, you never know. Like, by you being like authentic and having good intentions, you can still upset people, and if people don't want to hear
yeah.
you, then you
No, and
can't.
I love the quote concept of you can't people's opinion of you isn't your business. Like
Yeah,
you can always say what you're going to say and it's going to be interpreted.
absolutely. And I think like the people in my life, like it's not that people can't check me in my life. Like I think people that, I know love me, and yeah, like once you develop a certain rapport, if somebody comes at me with sense of grace and is like, "Look, this really upset me that what you did." And there's that communication, and I'm like, it can allow me to reflect and I can become better. Like those opinions are great when there's room for me to step up and change a behavior. We love that. But when people
Yes.
aren't trying to leave space for that and just want to yell at you for the sake of yelling at you, I'm like, okay, well, I-
You're
that's where
like that
they're like,
I'm talking to a blank wall and you got to protect your peace
yeah,
because it's just such a
exactly.
hard industry. Like aside, even when you have the most supportive people and everyone's amazing and perfect, like it's still a hard industry. So it's just,
Yeah,
I don't know. I find that those boundaries are just so, so good. And also I keep saying this, which is so annoying, but the older you get, the quicker you can kind of gauge who you're going to vibe with and who you're not. And like, you don't have
yes,
to be besties with everyone, which is what I always try to tell people who are like going after things too. And like, I kind of got to the point where I'm like, I'm not, sounds bad. Like, I'm not here to make friends, but like, cause you're naturally going to make friends. Like if the more
yeah,
you stop focusing on what people are thinking about you and perceiving you as, like, you'll find your people and hopefully it aligns like better
absolutely. Yeah,
in that
you're
way.
like you're
Yeah.
gonna inevitably you'll make connections.
Which also you've created the best tribe on social media. I am
I
obsessed with your content. I'm literally like to my husband about, I'm like, look at this, and I'm laughing. And like also
oh,
the really funny ones of like, I'm sure he doesn't even fully understand because they're like very like dance specific, but
yeah,
I think he gets it, of course. He gets it.
okay.
It's fine. Which they're probably also like your amazing like cheerleaders and community that you have built. What are your thoughts on social media and how it's evolving for performers, specifically maybe around marketing themselves with the lines of being part of bigger companies that, you have to say and do certain things?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's so interesting to kind of be where we are right now with it. I think it feels like we're at the very early stages of how it's really going to be affecting people's careers. I think, I don't know, we have the ability to put videos up into the world and you never know who's going to see them. And I think
Hmm.
that's a crazy gift. Like, even if you're just posting a dance video, it's like if a casting director could see that video, or I don't know, it just feels so amazing to not be utilizing social media for all that it can
Yeah.
do. Um, I think like one of the things that first got me onto social media, even like, in a very kind of elementary stage, was I went to an audition back in Toronto before I moved to London. Um, and yeah, essentially they were like, okay, like here's a form, please fill this out before we start. It was like your name, your email, your agent, your Instagram handle. And I was like, my what? Like at the time I
You're like, I'm a
had,
private.
I'm sure I private, but my all I had was
Yeah.
holiday photos, like my vacation. It was me like in, I don't know,
You're like, you want to see my
Paris.
family? Here we
Yeah,
are.
I had zero content that would have showcased that I was a performer. Like absolutely none.
What
Uh,
year was this for reference?
this was 2024.
Yeah, so like, okay,
So
recent, yeah.
was it no, sorry, maybe that was end of 2023. It was like around November 2023. Yeah,
That
because I
makes
started
yeah.
24. So yeah, but it was just crazy. And I was like, oh wow. And I think like it took me even courage just to post a dance video, like the first time you're putting something out there. But at the end of the day, like I think for me, social media has just made me like really sink my teeth into my career, like showing up and putting myself out there, especially during the times when I was between work and I didn't have, I wasn't performing on a stage, at least like to some capacity. I was like, look, I'm performing for somebody, even if it's just my mom and
Creative
dad.
outlet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I feel like it's so helpful that way. And, I know it's certainly not for everybody, but I think, yeah, even just posting your craft and what you're doing, if I don't think you necessarily have to be a content creator in this day and age, but not
No.
using it as an artist, not putting your art and your craft on social media, like I can't help but think like that must do some type of disservice. Like
Yeah.
we have this, why not use it as a tool?
Well, and now you like could probably get away without I don't have a website, actually, not that I'm
Yeah,
actively performing, but I mean, you don't even have to pay to have this platform and it can serve as a website and serve as so many different things, which is
1,000.
crazy. I don't know, it might be different now. I'm sure you don't really have like that fear with posting anymore, but as you were getting into it, was it harder for you to post real dance, like this is me in a class or performing versus more just like fun content dance?
Sorry, was it harder or was it?
Like mentally, like was it like scarier to post? Because people are like, oh, I don't. When you're performing for your friends, you're like, oh, it's kind of scary.
Yeah, I think they were both like depending on what I'm posting, I get fear from different ways. I think like with the dance content, like obviously as dancers, we're so self-critical because we're trained to be, and we're so hyper fixated on all the little nitty and gritty details when we see a video of ourselves. And I think at first it was just like the fear of like, oh, like this video isn't perfect. Like I don't want to showcase something that's not like my best of my best work.
Mm-hmm.
But also like, I don't know. You kind of learn to overcome that. And it's like, this is a bit of something I do. And I'll post another video that'll be better. And then one will be worse. It's just like the more you put, the more people see of you. And we'll see.
Honestly, the best way to cure your perfectionism is like having to post on social media because it's
Yeah.
never going to be perfect, and it's also very humbling
No.
to know that you are going to watch that video and nitpick it more than anyone else probably combined will, and it's so freeing in a way. what
Yeah.
would you what would you say to someone who maybe dancer or not dancer who wants to put themselves out there on social media but they have fears of being seen, being judged, or like overwhelmed with where to start or to get momentum? What would your advice be to them?
I think like people are judging you whether you're putting yourself out there or not. Like,
True. And it's
like,
not
and I
your
think,
business.
no, literally, and I clap myself on this all the time because I still feel the fear. Like, it doesn't go away. Like, I would tell you that, like, I mean, it does get easier because you get used to it, but I'm never going to say, like, I always feel 100% confident with every video that I put out there and I never second guess anything. And that's just not the case.
Yeah.
But it is like, people are going to judge you for posting, people are going to judge you for not posting and not going for your career to like the full extent that you should be going at it. Like, just do what feels right. I don't know. Which is,
I
it's
feel
so cliche, but it's
it
true.
is, but it's the same as what you were saying with even just your supporters, how we were talking about the move and to perform in that way. It's like literally the same thing. And I don't know why
Mhm.
it's easier for me at least, it was easier to like move and go do something that is real versus like, especially with social media, it's still so new that,
Yeah.
even nowadays, I have a podcast, I have my social media, and I don't even tell a lot of people about it because I'm like,
Yeah.
they're not gonna get it. Like, I don't even want
Yeah.
to
I know.
explain.
That-
So
That's the thing. I think that with my comedy videos all the time too. When you say like it's so catered to dancers, it's like if I showed somebody that wasn't in the world, they wouldn't think it's funny, and that's totally fine because it's not for them.
it's
Like,
not for you. It's fine. No, but
I
I mean, maybe they would, but
well,
I think it just hits harder. It hits harder for dancers because we're like,
yeah,
yes,
that's the
it's so
thing.
good. It's
Yeah. Oh, I feel like what was it? Just reminded me, like, just speaking of not for you as well, this idea that who I don't know, you don't know who your video is for when you're posting it too. It's like somebody like might need to see it, and like by you holding back, like you're
yes.
actually doing service to people. My therapist actually said this to me. She said, like, not sharing your story could be selfish because somebody might need to hear it, and you're out of fear keeping it to yourself when it could be a gift for someone. And I
Oh
was like,
my gosh.
I love that.
And in ways you just don't even know too, because when I started
Yes.
posting, I was, and I don't even remember. I think I've blacked it out of my memory because like I could never watch those videos now. But when I first started posting back a couple
Yeah.
years ago, I was posting like rocket things because I remember just feeling like, when I was going towards the stream, I would have loved to see what was going on, like what the behind the scenes was, how like people prepared for the season, whatever. So I started sharing it in that way. And one of my now best friends who actually lives near me in Houston, she's a nurse and she found me before like we knew each other in person. She found me when I was still doing Rockcast and she was like, "Well, I followed you because like your mindset on things is so great." Like she never danced,
Mm,
never anything, but even you think you're posting for one person and you don't know like the ripple effect and the people
yes.
that you're affecting. Like you said, oh, like my stuff's catered to dancers, but I know there's some people that are
Yeah.
watching it that have no idea what Horton is, but they still like find joy in it and they still want to see
Yeah.
it. So it's just like that is
True.
such a cool, and they can connect to different parts of your story and let it help them, which
Yeah.
we love. We just want to
I
make the
love
world a better
that.
place,
Making the
Just
world a place.
one
Absolutely.
one video at a
Why not?
time. Speaking of a
Yeah.
better place, just getting into some more of the like not as fun, glamorous parts of being a dancer, but you had mentioned this a little bit, and I experienced this and get messages from dancers still to this day about they feel like they're not doing enough but then they also feel burnt out. And I've literally had people like borderline like ask me for permission to take a break. And I'm like, if you are asking yourself if you can take a break and you feel like you're not doing enough, but you are doing enough, like take the break. What is your relationship to this like concept? And has it
Yeah.
evolved? And how do you kind of deal with that?
Totally. I think anytime you're chasing a dream really heavily, which 90% of dancers are, I think it's burnout is inevitable. Like you're going to experience it. And I think I used to feel a lot of guilt and a lot of, I don't know, just like self-judgment about it. Being like, why am I getting burnt out? What am I doing wrong? But you're so passionate about what you're doing. Like, of course, you're going to be, going balls to the wall and kind of putting yourself through it and not resting if
Mm-hmm.
you really want something. But it's just listening to your body and learning to say, okay, I've hit a wall. This is all I can do. It's okay. Now I need to take a step back and breathe through it and kind of let yourself experience it. Like, I don't know anybody that's so incredibly passionate that's never experienced burnout. And at the end of the day, like, I'm in this career for the long haul, and just knowing and trusting that it's part of the process and that once you take that break, however long it needs to be, maybe it's a single night, maybe it's a couple
Mm-hmm.
weeks. For some people, I know people that have taken months off, years off, and have come back.
Yeah.
Um, what it is that they're confronting mentally. And
No, so real.
yeah, and when they come back, they have a completely different perspective and they're able to engage with the work the way that they should be rather than forcing yourself to push through the burnout. Like it's not gonna help you.
I always say that too, of like, you have to take breaks to come back
Yeah.
re-energized. It's like anything, like if you didn't sleep, how are you gonna get through your
Yeah.
day? Like if you don't like
Yeah.
let yourself actually rest, and like sometimes it's even just that mental rest where I'll be like, okay, don't be scrolling on your phone looking at dance social media, don't be talking to people about dance, just like go like eat a cheeseburger and go to an amusement park. I don't
You
know,
know?
like go
Yeah.
do something and have fun, because
Truly.
it's just gonna make you show up so much better. Would you have favorite things you like to do in London to reset?
I think for me, it's just like exploring
Mm,
culture, and I love going to museums. I love, yeah, just getting a bit of, like seeing the history of the city, going to different restaurants, going to different cafes, and yeah, just reminding myself that, as much as like dance and performing feels like my whole life, like London is such a great city
yeah. Talk
to
about
explore.
like having to be like you're physically put somewhere to that forces you to stop and be like, whoa, look at where I am.
Yeah,
And like
exactly.
there's life bigger than me out here, which is really
Yeah.
nice. You also have a philosophy on taking away lessons from every negative experience, which I love that philosophy. Has there been a time when it is harder to do this, or maybe that lesson like comes a lot later than you would have wanted it to come?
Yes, of course. I think like, uh, I think in dance it's just like hard, or and in performing in general. I think it's hard when we want things so badly, and yeah, like you go to an audition and let's say like, you make a mistake in terms of, I know there's been times where, I didn't advocate for myself in the room. I stood in the back and I couldn't see, and I'm just trying to be the dancer that's easy to work with, but then I don't,
Mm-hmm.
you know, make that choice to be like, "Oh, could I switch lines, or can we like,"
Yeah.
I haven't spoken up for myself, and then when you don't make it through the next round, like that can be a really hard pill to swallow because every job feels like, I don't know. I think when people are like, "Oh, don't be desperate in this industry," I'm like, I hear what they're saying because you do want to go in with a certain level of confidence, and I think that is important. And having a life outside of dance that you love that doesn't make you feel like, dance is the only thing or performing is the
Mm-hmm.
only thing gives you satisfaction or value. But at the same time, to be in this industry, you have to be obsessed. Like
Mm-hmm.
you still love it to survive.
Yep.
It's that tough of an industry. So inevitably, like we are going to be heartbroken and a little bit
Yeah.
of that energy when we're going into rooms. And I think that's just part of it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think just learning to, I don't know, what is meant for you can't miss you. And eventually, like all of those no's that got ticked off that didn't work out for me led me to the job that I'm doing now, which I love and probably would have loved more than anything that, I didn't get
Yeah.
into. Or
Yeah. No, it's such a hard nuance, because you're so right about like, yes, you have to have a life outside of dance, but I do say that all the time to people, especially like younger people who are on even just on the fence, and not to discourage people, but what you said of it's such a hard industry. So if you don't love it, it's not worth it. And like no shade in that way. Or maybe it's,
yeah.
you keep it a part of your life in a different way, but to be like
Mm.
a 100% like I'm performing and I'm auditioning, it is not for the weak. It's not for the
Yeah,
weak, and you just have to love it.
yeah, and again, like I think if you love it, all of those things that make it hard, like they almost don't feel like obstacles. You're just like, this
Hmm.
is just what I have to do to get where I want, which I think can exist in so many industries. But yeah, like
It just,
you,
yeah.
I say this all the time, like most performers aren't in it for the money. Like, like we're not here for the stability or for the benefits or for like those things don't come with.
Correct.
So, when you're choosing in your life to give up those things for contract, like most people that give up those things are like outside of the performing world, they're becoming entrepreneurs and betting on themselves to make this big success. It's like even the most successful dancers are working on contracts, like once that contract ends, they're back to where they were before.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's, you have to love it because there's no promise of, you know,
Yeah.
financial,
Which,
I don't want to say
and
success
it's,
because you've been successful,
yeah.
but
Yeah. You have to define success how you want to define it. And I
exactly.
also feel like
Yeah.
financial success, at least for me, is not like end all be all. And I think
Yeah.
probably most dancers as well. Do you feel, I know
Yeah.
you said like, yes, it's different than entrepreneurs for obvious reasons, but do you agree with any of the philosophy of dancers are you're a business as a dancer?
Now, yeah. I think in my younger years, I didn't want to accept that reality. I think now, like, we are, like, you have to promote yourself. Like, you do have to kind of bet on your own craft. I think, like, there is so much of this. You're responding to emails, you're pitching yourself. Like, it is.
You're making your videos to submit even like your like editor, your admin, your
Yes,
marketer. Yeah. It's like
absolutely. I mean, most performers are self-employed. You're filing your taxes as a business. Like,
ugh, you gotta
yeah.
research to find auditions. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
You're
But
wearing
just
a
is
lot.
why yeah, that's I say dancers have so many transferable skills, which is it's so real.
Mhm.
And what do you is there a way that you kind of approach work and life now as a dancer with a little bit more of that business mentality that would have maybe been helpful if you would have adopted that sooner?
I think, yeah, it's hard to say because my younger self and the jobs that I was going for, like, I don't know how much of that skill set was built into, like, with cruise ships and with Disney,
Mhm.
like, especially Disney is quite closed off. Like, of course, they hire people from the auditions, but I don't think it's as much of, like, who you know and networking and negotiating. Like, they're quite standard companies,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean? Versus now, like, being a little bit more on the freelance side of things where you're kind of jumping from job to job, like, it is so much about being able to negotiate what you want out of contract, and there's a lot more wiggle room, and I a part of me wishes I had those, like, skills of learning how to be firm, but I just kind of started developing that side a little bit later in my
No,
career because I
for
wouldn't have
sure. I mean,
been chasing.
yeah, I'm never at least dancing wise like, yeah, this is your contract, you sign it. It's not
Yeah.
and that's yeah, it's very I honestly, the same girl I was talking about who was an aerialist, I was like, "Wait, you negotiate your contracts? That is
Yeah.
a why it's like a foreign concept to me." Which
Right.
business, add it to the list of things you got to do. Well, like
Yeah.
business negotiating of all the things.
Yeah.
Which no, that's great. So just like knowing your worth and standing up for yourself, that's a good place
And
to start for
I
anyone listening.
yeah. No,
So
truly, and I think but we talked about how dancers are raised, like, we are raised in the scarcity mindset and the, like, say yes, be a people pleaser, and, like, again, I understand why, because there's truth to this concept of, there's obviously a surplus of performers in comparison to jobs, but with that, you kind of have to it almost encourages people to just, like, not be business savvy about it and put themselves
yeah,
sometimes.
and it's
So
finding that line of sticking up for yourself, but also like not being reading greedy and meeting people like where they're at.
yeah,
And I think it's probably just different for every job and
of
depending on your
course.
level of expertise and so many factors, but just some things to think about. I do
Yeah.
have one more question before our like little
Yeah.
wrap up-y questions. Which I
Okay.
love that you talk about your tunnel vision. I'm very much the same way of like once you are like set on something, you're like, it's gonna happen. It's like
Yeah.
those quotes that you see where it's like, oh, it's gonna work out because I'm crazy. Like that's how I feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, but do you feel that when you have these moments or you have these goals or visions, does the decision to go all in come first, or does the belief that you can make it happen come first?
Oh, that's tough.
I know. It's like the chicken,
I
the
think
egg,
for me,
whatever.
I think there has to be a sprinkle of that belief first, but I think it would be a disservice to assume that the belief is always there and you never doubt yourself, because you're going to doubt yourself along the journey, and kind of with everything, it is going to go up and down. But you do have to have that inkling and people supporting you and that internal voice that says something is possible.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So I think it's just like learning to have space. And it's like, because, I think sometimes I could be down on myself being like, oh my gosh, why do I have so much self-doubt today? Like, oh, like I'm not going to accomplish my dreams with this self-doubt. And it's like, no, like everybody experiences self-doubt. Like you are going to feel that. But overall, you have to eventually come back to, I can do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. And like also having the right people around you to help bring you back, which is
Yeah.
why, back to our original point, so important to have those people,
So,
because
yeah.
you need those people to lean on. Oh my gosh, so many good
Yeah.
things. Wow, I could ask you a million more questions, but I will not. But I am gonna end with my final questions. This one is kind of hard because I know hindsight is 2020, but if you
Sure.
had one piece of advice for your younger self that you could give her, what would it be?
I would probably say to just, think outside your comfort zone and don't just go for what you think is possible. Because especially when I was younger, I think, I was definitely clouded with more self-doubt than confidence, as I think most young people are. And I think there were so many opportunities I didn't even look at or consider or make myself available for, because I had already told me no and I didn't let anybody else tell me no. And I wish that uh, I'm curious what would have happened if I had just been a little bit more gutsy and had just gone even for the sake of learning. Because even if you go to an audition or whatever it is, any type of opportunity, and you don't think that there's a chance of you getting it, you're still going to learn something from being in that room. And maybe, I don't know, it'll give you a little bit of groundwork for if you ever want to go and audition for that thing again. You'll already have the experience and kind of know what it's like. But I don't know. Yeah, just be a little bit more ballsy, show up if you can, and yeah, reach for the
Yeah.
start.
Yeah, because you know what? It's not that deep.
Yeah, it's
That's what
not
I
that
like to,
deep.
that person. I always wish I would tell that situation. I would tell myself, like, it's not that deep, you guys. It's gonna be okay. Just do it. Who
Yeah.
cares? I love that.
Right.
I really. That's a good one. If there was one key takeaway you wanted anyone listening to really remember from everything we've talked about, what would it be?
Um, I think it's just like learning to have acceptance with of your path. Like, I think, yeah, just there's going to be highs, there's going to be lows, there's going to be moments, of rejection and negativity, but it's all part of the story because you're experiencing those things, that success isn't around the corner. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. That whole thing of the, you never know when, like, one more audition, it could have
to-
been, or could be your yes. Yeah.
absolutely.
I love that. Oh, so good. I'm going to link everything, but where can everyone right now pull out their phone and go follow you if they're not already following you on all the
So I'm
things?
on Instagram and TikTok. My handle's at laura.june.ness. And then I'm also just kind of starting to put my stuff on YouTube as well. I'm making little bits of long form content that I'm hoping to get into more soon, but that's Laura June Ness on YouTube. Yeah.
I can't wait to watch. I did one YouTube video one time other than the podcast, and
It
I
is
got overwhelmed.
it's a
So I
whole
can't wait to watch and be
other,
inspired.
yeah, genre, really long form content, but I'm excited to dabble in it, and I'm sure it'll be a process like any other, but yeah, excited.
Yeah, so fun. Oh my God. Thank you so much for sharing all
Yeah.
of your wisdom and your stories and so many cool things. You guys, make sure you go follow Laura, like, subscribe, comment, all of the podcast things, but let us know what you loved about this episode and share it with someone. And thanks for kicking it real with us. We will see you next time.